Let's learn how to use all of our pH formulas. They look really confusing, but I promise that they're not hard at all as long as you focus on figuring out what information you're given and what you're trying to find. These two formulas are going to be used when you're trying to find the pH or the POH. If the question asks, what is the pH or what is the POH? And when you're given a concentration or some kind of molarity. The bottom two are the exact opposite of that. These are when you're trying to find the concentration and you're given what the pH or the POH is. What is the pH of a sulfuric acid solution with a concentration of 0.063 molar? So what I'm going to do is highlight what I'm trying to find. So the question asks, what is the pH? So I'm trying to find the pH. And I'm going to circle or outline my given. So of a sulfuric acid solution with a concentration of 0.063 molar. So you can see that I'm given a concentration. I'm trying to find the pH. So this is the formula I want to use. So to work this out, I'm just going to plug in the number that I have outlined where it belongs. So pH is just what we're trying to find. That's equal to negative log of this number right here. And that is just what I'm going to type into my calculator. So if you've never used the log function, it's just a button on your calculator. So you have to find it, but it just says log. So this is exactly what you're going to type in. Negative log 0.063. Close my parentheses, and there is your answer. So the pH is 1.2. What is the POH of a base with a concentration of OH minus of 1.3 times 10 to the negative fifth? Again, I'm going to highlight what I'm trying to find. This time I'm going to use blue because we are dealing with a base, and I like to use blue for bases and red for acids. We're looking for a POH, and we're given this number right here, which is a concentration. So we're given a concentration of a base, and we're trying to find the POH. So we're going to use this formula. There's my formula. Now I'm going to plug in my number. So our concentration is just going to take our place right there. POH is equal to negative log of 1.3. This time we have scientific notation. That doesn't change anything. We're just going to put in that entire number and make sure we keep that in parentheses. So in our calculator, negative log parentheses 1.3 times 10 to the negative fifth. Close my parentheses, enter, and that is going to be our POH. What is the concentration of H+? So this time we're trying to find a concentration in an acid with a pH of 3.8. So this time our given is a pH. So we are given a pH and we're trying to find a concentration of the acid. So now this is the formula that we're going to use. Here's my formula, so I'm going to take the number that I'm given and I'm going to plug it in right where it goes. So here's what that looks like. Concentration of H+ is what I'm trying to find. And then we have 10 raised to the negative pH. So I'm going to do 10 raised to the negative 3.8. So here's what that's going to look like in my calculator. Obviously your calculator might look a little bit different than mine, but you can figure out how to type that in. So it's going to be just type in 10, your exponent button, whatever yours looks like, might look different than mine, negative 3.8. So that's what you should have in your calculator. You might have to put parentheses around the negative 3.8 depending on the calculator. So you might want to try yours right now and make sure that you're doing it correctly. So if I hit equals, this is the number that I'm going to get. So please try this in your calculator. Pause the video right now, try this in your calculator, and make sure you get this answer. Still waiting on you to pause the video and make sure you get this answer. One more try. Pause the video, try this calculation, and make sure you get this answer, please. If you already did that, I'm sorry you had to hear me say it 3 more times. Okay, so my answer to this is that the concentration of H plus is equal to 1.58 times 10 to the negative 4th, and this is a concentration, so the units are molar. Remember, pH and pOH don't have units, but concentration does, and it's molarity. What is the concentration of OH minus? So again, we're looking for a concentration. This time we're looking for the concentration of OH minus in a base with a pOH of 2.2. So we're given a pOH this time. So given pOH, find concentration of the base. So this is our formula. This one's very similar to the last one. We are just gonna take that pOH and plug it in. So we have the concentration of OH minus is equal to 10, sorry about that, to the negative 2.2. So typing that in, 10 raised to the negative 2.2. So our answer is 6.3 times 10 to the negative 3rd molar. So that's all of the formulas, but sometimes we might have to use more than one formula. So let me show you why and how we would do that. So this question says, if the concentration of OH minus is 0.04 molar, what is the pH? Well, we're given a concentration, and what we need to recognize is this is a concentration of a base. OH minus is a base. Okay, so we're given the concentration of a base, and we need to know what is the pH. And we should know that pH measures hydrogen, which is technically measuring acidic concentration. So we know that we're given the concentration of OH, so we can pick the formula to use that as a starting point. So we can use this one because we're given the concentration of OH. But when we get this answer, it's going to give us the pOH, and that's not what the question's asking for. But we do know that the pH plus the pOH has to equal 14. So if we use this formula to calculate the pOH, we can then use that number to figure out the pH. So here we go. pOH is the negative log of the concentration of OH minus. So I'm going to plug in my concentration here. And you can see after putting that in my calculator, the answer I get is 1.397. I'm going to call that 1.4. So my pOH is 1.4. We know that the pH plus the pOH is 14. So if we're trying to find the pH, my pOH is 1.4. We can do just a little bit of algebra to solve for my pH. So we did have to use 2 formulas to get the answer for this question.